I know. This is what I always forget, that I have to watch both of them. All right, we will call this regular meeting of the Planning Commission, September 26th, to order. Roll call.
Attendance noted.
Excellent. Approval of the minutes of the regular Planning Commission meeting of August 22nd, 2016.
So moved.
All in favor? Approval?
Aye. Aye.
Everyone. And then this is an opportunity for citizens to address the commission on items not on the agenda. Seeing no one. Do we have to close this?
No.
Okay. Public hearing. Item number 1, consider amendments to the city's zoning ordinance to update the flood plan management regulations.
Thank you, Chair Vriesdaniel. Although the zoning code does include floodplain management regulations, the Public Works Department administers those. And so City Engineer Jeff Pearson is here tonight to help us through this ordinance amendment.
All right, good evening, Commissioners. As it notes in the background section of the staff report, this is really just a housekeeping item. FEMA came out with updated insurance rate maps, and they do so periodically, and basically they give agencies and jurisdictions a deadline to approve those map changes so that the residents in those areas are eligible for continuation of flood insurance under the National Flood Insurance Program. There isn't a whole lot to say about this change. There's actually only a very small part of Richfield that shows up in their maps. It's up by Taft Lake. There are no residences in the area that they identify, but if we were to not adopt it or approve it, it would basically affect the whole city if somebody wanted to be eligible for that flood insurance program. So that's about all.
All right. This is a public hearing. If there's anyone here who would like to speak, you can come up to the podium. Seeing none, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing.
So moved.
All approve, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Comments, questions?
It all seems pretty straightforward.
Sounds good. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes. Item number 2, consider site plans and an ordinance amendment related to parking lot modifications at 6600 Cedar Avenue Municipal Liquor Store.
Thank you. So in conjunction with the remodeling project that I'm sure you've all seen is underway now at the Cedar Avenue Liquor Store, the city is acquiring additional adjacent land from MnDOT, and that's in order to expand and reconfigure that parking lot. A primary concern is the removal and replacement of 6 parking stalls from the north side of the building. Use of these stalls frequently conflicts with ingress and egress to the site, and safety concerns warrant their relocation. An additional 6 stalls will be added to bring the site up to the allowable maximum. As part of this process, the parking lot itself will be made compliant with regulations related to setbacks, landscaping, parking lot islands, and screening. In addition to consideration of the site plan, the city must apply a zoning designation to the newly acquired property, and we must also legally combine that with the existing site. The attached ordinance would zone the additional land, which is approximately 30 feet by 233 feet, as general business to match the adjacent liquor store property. The attached resolution requires that this new land be combined with the existing parcel via the platting process within 1 year. I will just go over a couple of things on the site plan that is in your packet. The proposed parking lot will meet all of our dimensional requirements and will comply with stormwater management regulations. No, I'm sorry, I don't know what that means. A preliminary landscape plan has also been included with your attached plans. You will note that there are some discrepancies on there, like the location of the sign moves a little bit. Okay, we're just going to move along. The landscaping, the sign is located in a slightly different location on the landscape plan than it is on some of the civil drawings. Again, that landscape plan is preliminary. While we've done some modifications to the civil drawings, we have not gone back. We've not asked the consultant to go back and modify the landscaping plan yet. That will have to be final approval from Public Works and Community Development before anything is installed. The parking lot, right now, the parking lot has 30 parking stalls. That's how many are required for this size business. The maximum allowable is 120% of that requirement, and that's what the proposed site plan will provide. 2 bicycle parking stalls are required. The proposed plan moves the bicycle parking from kind of down the eastern wall toward the loading dock up to that island near the front door. Right now, the site plans show just moving the existing bike parking rack, although staff is exploring the possibility of an art-inspired bike rack. We've looked at a couple of very cool bike racks that we'd like to explore putting there. It will depend on the truck turning radiuses, making sure that we can get the semis that do deliveries in there without damaging that new bike rack, so we are still exploring that. The plan, generally, it meets almost all of the new requirements, all of the current requirements for parking lots. One exception is a pedestrian connection from the east, from that sidewalk that is going to connect 66th Street to Old Cedar. That connection is not included on these plans. It's not there now. This plan certainly does not make things worse, but it does not provide a direct connection. If you have any questions, our city engineer is here, and also, excuse me, our liquor operations director, Bill Fillmore, is here. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. It's you. I have a quick question about the sidewalk to nowhere. Is that a sidewalk up at the top, right, that curves? Or what is?
Okay, the sidewalk that's coming toward the doors, or the side, up at the far northeast corner?
Yeah. Is that a sidewalk?
Yes.
Going
Hold
to
on.
77th?
There's a
Okay.
pedestrian crossing of 66 there that goes to the north side of the
Okay.
intersection.
And that will connect with that, so it doesn't just stop.
Yeah, it really doesn't change. That 66th Street sidewalk frontage really won't change from today.
Do you have some questions?
Yeah, so, I mean, my biggest concern in terms of making things worse isn't so much the access to the building, which I acknowledge is a little bit better than it is today. My biggest concern is actually that trail, or now sidewalk, that runs straight north-south along the eastern property line. Currently, that's like an 8-foot or 10-foot wide trail that connects the dead end of Old Cedar to 66th. And as proposed, it's a 6.5-foot thing with no space for snow storage, no curb reaction distance. So even if you just had a single bicycle and single pedestrian on there, that's pretty tight. So is there any reason why it has to be set back from the parking lot? Could it not be maintained its current width in that new location?
Thank you. The site is set up to meet our impervious surface requirements. And so expanding that sidewalk would reduce our green space. Right now, we are right at the required 15%. So the sidewalk meets all of our requirements. It meets our minimums through the zoning code. It is not a multi-use trail. It does not need to be wider than that. And Public Works has expressed to me that for snow storage, the snow storage will just go on the other side of that trail. There's no need for that to be wider for snow storage purposes like it is adjacent to a right-of-way. That's how it got to be that width.
It's a little hard for me to hear that this has 6 extra parking spots than it needs, and then to be told that the sidewalk has to be extremely narrow because there's too much impervious surface.
Well, it's 6-foot sidewalk is a standard width sidewalk. That's what we need to clear it. On a right of way next to a roadway, we'll either ask for a 6-foot boulevard in between a 6-foot sidewalk and the curb, or we'll ask for a 10-foot sidewalk. But again, as Melissa noted, that's primarily for snow storage along the back of curb. Because this is a parking lot and the city will be clearing both the sidewalk and the parking lot, we don't really need that snow storage behind the curb. The only thing I'll add to that, though, is on the south side. I'm trying to discuss the exact, excuse me, the arrangement of the entrance from the south. Public Works, what we'd like to see from an engineering perspective is more of a traditional dead end like it was before, with a concrete apron entrance to the site. And that'll allow the sidewalk that currently exists on the west side of Old Cedar to do a formal crossing of the entrance and then jog over. So there'll be a continuous sidewalk as opposed to kind of this gap that exists on this drawing today.
Just one note, if that sidewalk does that, that will also exceed
I
our,
hear there are 6 extra parking spots that they could probably chip away at in their application. I know that they're within the requirements. I have to say that this coming from the city project, and this isn't a basis for me to vote no on it, it's very disappointing to see the city both providing more parking spots than they require and to see them only providing 2 bicycle spaces. Although that's compliant with the code, I think it sets a really bad image. It's not the caliber we'd want to see from any private developer doing a PUD or something similar. So even though it's allowed, I'm very disappointed that the city would only provide that. And I'm glad that you're looking into alternatives that would be more eye-catching as well.
Any other questions for staff? This is a public hearing, so we'll open the public hearing if anybody here would like to speak. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Is there a motion somebody wants to make?
I move we approve the proposed plan.
And I'll second.
Discussion?
I will just to clarify, I plan to vote no on this specifically because I do not think it creates a harmonious situation for bicycles and pedestrians, and I think for through traffic of those users, it is worse than the existing condition. So I'm glad to see progress being made, but this is not what I would have expected, and even within this limited work, I think it's not adequate.
I'm kind of in agreement, as we talk about with private developers a lot of adding space, adding walkways. It feels like we tried, but maybe could go back and see what else could be done to kind of add these spaces to this, especially on this end. What are you guys' thoughts? Thoughts? No
I think
thoughts?
the city operates as a business and has designed the space in compliance with the ordinance. And it's not a PUD, it's not a development, specifically designated development zone where there are different rules. And you get to pick. You get Clean Water Act for impervious surface, or you get the non-federally mandated pedestrian and bicycle unity.
Are there 6 extra spaces, or we added 6 to meet a requirement? Can you clarify?
there are 6 more stalls than there are currently.
Okay.
And the city manager and liquor operations director feel strongly that those 6 additional stalls are needed. It is within code requirements to go up to that 36.
Okay.
But it is 6 over the minimum that the city requires.
That's correct.
Thank you.
I'd say I've been there, and that parking lot is always full, as it is now, and kind of a cluster. It's a mess as people kind of come in and out, so I think the 6 extra spaces are definitely needed, and it's too bad we can't have everything, right? All right, well, there's a motion. If there's no further discussion, we'll take a vote. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries. All right. Next is new business. Item number 3, reschedule regularly scheduled December 26, 2016 meeting to December 12th, 2016.
I move for the meeting movement.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? We'll move it to December 12th. Good. No old business. Liaison reports, Community Services Advisory Commission. Nope, no one? Okay, moving on. City Council?
Yeah, just the only thing I want to bring up is that this Saturday, October 1st, is the Candidates Forum sponsored by the Richfield League of Women Voters. And There are, all three of the precinct offices are up for election, and we'll have one portion devoted to city and the other portion devoted to legislative, which is our House and our State House and Senate. And that starts at 9 o'clock right in this room
Yeah.
on Saturday morning, October 1st.
Perfect. HRA, I have no reports. Richfield School Board?
School is in session.
Excellent. Transportation Commission?
No report this month.
Chamber of Commerce?
No report?
Anything else? How did PennFest go?
PennFest was wildly successful.
Excellent.
Thousands of people attended. Very good feedback. The city booths, I think, were very well received this year. We had some innovative displays. Public Works had a mock-up of what the road will look like once it goes to a 3-lane segment. Community development did some exercises for to prep people for our upcoming comprehensive plan. Where our tagline is "Built for the Future," Richfield 2040. We had lots of kids drawing pictures about things that they love in Richfield. It was really wonderful. We're going to display those here in City Hall soon. One other item to note that we did advertise at PennFest as well. There's the renovation celebration, which is a tour of remodeled homes in Richfield. And that is on Saturday, October 8th from 1 to 5. There's more information on that on our website, but that should be great. See some of the homes that we've remodeled through our housing programs. I believe 5 of the 6 have been done with our programs. And then one other item that I wanted to get on your radar is that we've got the RFP out for our comprehensive plan. Those are due back October 12th. And then we will be interviewing some consulting firms and then come to talk to you and the city council in early November on one side or other of the election about who we should select to help us with that. So look for that.
Awesome. Next meeting is October 24th. Is there a motion to close the meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
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 Meeting adjourned.